Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's keeping a lot of enterprise leaders up at night. EU AI Act readiness and governance maturity. We're talking about the regulatory landscape that's reshaping how companies deploy AI across Europe, especially as we head into 2026. Sam, this feels like the moment where compliance stops being nice to have and becomes absolutely critical, right?
Exactly. And the stakes are real. We're not talking about light fines here. Enterprises face penalties up to $30 million or 6% of global revenue for prohibited AI practices. Even for mid-market companies turning over $50 to $500 million, a 2% penalty is serious money. But what's interesting is that this isn't just about avoiding fines. It's actually a strategic opportunity if companies approach it the right way.
That's a crucial reframe. So let's set the scene a bit more. The EU AI Act is phasing in enforcement across 2025 and 2026. Can you break down what that timeline actually looks like and which companies should be most concerned right now?
Sure. Prohibited practices, think social scoring systems or emotion recognition in schools, those are banned immediately, no negotiation. But the real operational crunch is around high-risk AI systems. Financial services, healthcare, recruitment, critical infrastructure, these sectors have to do conformity assessments, maintain documentation, and ensure human oversight before they can even deploy. The Dutch Data Protection Authority is particularly strict, so organizations in FinTech, insurance, and HR tech in the Netherlands face compounded pressure with mandatory pre-market audits.
That's interesting because the Netherlands is a tech hub, right? You'd think they'd be the most prepared, but the regulatory intensity there is actually driving urgency. What's the baseline readiness level you're seeing across European enterprises right now?
The data is sobering. Gartner's 2024 survey found that 73% of enterprises lack formal AI governance frameworks aligned to EU standards. Only 31% have actually conducted a full AI risk assessment across their entire portfolio. Most companies are still at what we call level 1 or 2, ad hoc systems with minimal oversight, or reactive governance that only kicks in after something goes wrong. The gap between how fast they're deploying AI and how mature their governance is, that's the real risk.
So if you're a mid-market enterprise leader listening to this, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm not ready. What does the roadmap actually look like? Let's talk about governance maturity in concrete terms. What's the model you're using to help organizations figure out where they stand?
We structure it as a 5-level maturity model. Level 1 is ad hoc. No formal governance, minimal oversight, high regulatory risk. Level 2 is reactive. You document things and respond to incidents, but you're not being proactive. Level 3 is where things shift. That's managed governance, formal policies, risk registers, audit trails built into your workflows. You're actually mapping your systems to EU AI Act requirements.
And that's where compliance becomes part of the architecture, not something bolted on after the fact. What about levels 4 and 5?
Level 4 is optimized governance. You've got continuous monitoring, automated compliance checks, feedback loops that help your AI systems self-document risk and performance. Level 5 is resilient. Predictive governance, regulatory intelligence automation, and you're actually building cross-organizational AI value networks where compliance is embedded from the start. The jump-in capability is massive. McKinsey found that companies at level 3 or above reduce compliance incidents by 67% and actually accelerate deployment by 40% compared to level 1 and 2 organizations. So counterintuitively, better governance doesn't slow you down, it speeds you up.
That's the insight that should be a wake-up call. Governance maturity becomes competitive advantage because you can deploy faster and with more confidence. So how does an enterprise actually assess where they are on that maturity scale? Is this something that requires external expertise, or can organizations do it internally?
There's no shortcut here. An honest assessment requires understanding your entire AI footprint, what models you're using, what data they're trained on, where they're deployed, how they're monitored. Most enterprises don't have that visibility. That's where structured readiness scans become critical. They're not audits in the traditional sense. They're diagnostic tools that help you map your current state against the EU AI Act specific requirements.
And I imagine the output isn't just a score or a report, it's actionable recommendations on how to actually move from level 1 to level 3 or beyond.
Exactly. A good readiness scan identifies your highest risk AI systems first. Which ones are touching recruitment decisions, financial assessments, or critical infrastructure? Those get prioritized for governance investment. Then you work backward through your entire portfolio. The organizations that move fastest are the ones that treat this as an architectural reframing, not a compliance checkbox. They redesign their AI deployment pipelines to include governance by default.
Let me push back on something. A lot of enterprise leaders are thinking, we can probably just hire a compliance team and handle this. Why is that approach risky?
Because compliance alone doesn't capture the operational reality of AI systems. You need technical expertise, people who understand model architectures, data pipelines, monitoring systems, combined with regulatory knowledge. A compliance-only approach misses the fact that many AI risks are fundamentally technical. You can have perfect documentation, but still deploy a model with hidden bias or data contamination. The integrated approach, combining governance, technical architecture, and compliance, that's what actually works.
So this is why consultancy that bridges those gaps becomes valuable. Let's bring it home for organizations in Eindhoven and across the Netherlands specifically. What's the tailored strategy for 2026 readiness?
3 pillars. First, diagnostics. Conduct a governance maturity assessment and a full AI risk inventory. Understand your current state honestly. Second, roadmap. Design a phased operationalization pathway with quarterly milestones. Don't try to jump from level 1 to level 4 overnight. That fails. Third, operationalization. Embed governance into your existing AI workflows. New models have compliance built in. Existing models get retrofitted with proper documentation and monitoring. The timeline is compressed. You're working toward 2026, but it's still achievable if you start now.
And the payoff beyond just avoiding penalties is that you're building organizational capabilities that matter beyond regulation, right? You're learning to deploy AI faster, with more confidence, with better performance.
Absolutely. Organizations that solve this now aren't just compliant. They're better at AI. They understand their models deeper. They have better documentation. They're more trustworthy to customers and regulators. That becomes a differentiation in 2026 and beyond.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, we're probably not ready, that's actually healthy awareness. The organizations that move first, the ones that assess their maturity now and start operationalizing governance in the next 6 months, those are the ones that will navigate 2026 with real competitive advantage. For the full breakdown, the governance frameworks, and how to structure your assessment, head over to etherlink.ai and check out the complete article on EU AI Act Readiness and Governance Maturity. Thanks for joining us on EtherLink AI Insights. We'll be back next week with more on the strategic side of enterprise AI.
Thanks, Alex. And to our listeners in the Netherlands and across Europe, don't wait until Q4 2025 to start this work. The window is open now, and governance maturity is achievable if you approach it systematically.